Just want to share this quote with you that you, I think it was 3 years ago, perhaps a little bit longer. We need to build 1 million homes on the London Green Belt near railway stations and around other growing cities, specifically to allow the under 40s to be able to own their own homes. Do you still want to build 1 million homes on Green Belt and the like?
So what I don't want to do, Kay, is build it on the Green Belt. Because I do think, well, I've changed my view on that.
Liz, I do not want to see my children and my grandchildren encumbered with huge debt at a time of rising interest rates, Bank of England today, and at a time of high inflation.
We have lower levels of debt than countries like the US, Canada and Japan.
You said that public sector pay policy has been misrepresented by the media. Here's the proposal that you released. Introduce regional pay boards, tailoring pay to the cost of living where civil servants actually work, saving up to £8.8 billion per year. So how have we misrepresented you so far?
Well, what I am clear about is that policy was not about teachers and doctors. But can I be clear, Kay, that I'm not going ahead with this policy?
You can, but you said you were misrepresented. I'm just clarifying.
Because of the concerns that have been expressed.
But just to clarify whether you were misrepresented or not, you highlighted a very specific saving, £8.8 billion. How did you reach that figure?
Well, I don't have the details. And
do you accept that you made a mistake by announcing the policy?
I do accept that the way the policy has been interpreted to cover those people was not right, and that's why I took an immediate decision not to go ahead with it.
Shell posted profits of £9.3 billion between April and June. If we put that another way, Shell made £1,190 per second. So since I started this sentence, they've made £17,000 in profit. Why don't we have another windfall tax?
Well, the problem with a windfall tax is that it might secure money in the short term. But what it does is it puts off companies investing in Britain in the long term.
You told a select committee last month that we should have armed Ukraine earlier. Should we arm Taiwan now?
Well, what we do need to make sure is that democracies like Taiwan are defended. And yesterday I put out a statement with my fellow G7 foreign ministers about the very difficult situation in Taiwan and concern about the rhetoric that we're hearing from China, the escalatory rhetoric.
We've seen Nancy Pelosi, another strong, influential woman in Taiwan this week. Will you visit Taiwan if you're Prime Minister?
We currently have a long-standing...
So yes or no question, really?
No.
In your first meeting with the Queen, will you apologise for wanting to abolish the monarchy?
Well, I've already met the Queen, and she's been far too polite to raise that issue with me.
You stood shoulder to shoulder with a man who has betrayed the office of Prime Minister.
I don't agree with that characterisation, Kay. I supported Boris Johnson for the leadership. I think he did a good job as our Prime Minister. He delivered Brexit. He delivered the vaccines. He also did a fantastic job of leading the free world in standing up to Vladimir Putin in Ukraine.
You were a Remainer, and now you're not. You supported Brits to fight in Ukraine, then you didn't. You wanted to build on the Green Belt, and now you don't. You wanted to abolish the monarchy, and now you don't. You wanted to arm Taiwan, and now I'm not sure if you're saying whether you do or not. You wanted civil servants...
We do provide them with those
You wanted to cut civil servants' pay in the regions, and then you said you didn't. Will the real Liz Truss please stand up? I did say, will the real Liz Truss please stand up? You're still sitting down.
That's just because you're trying to get rid of me, Ken.
Please do.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there a point that you would stand aside in this campaign, Mr Sunak, given opinion polls are pointing to a dominant mistrust win, and also we're seeing daily declarations from big Tory big guns in her favour?
Well, thanks for the question, Matthew, and the quick answer is no. And that's because, well, thank you.
You were also the Chancellor that introduced Eat Out to Dine Out at a cost of £850 million. And according to the University of Warwick, that was responsible for an increase of new COVID cases of between 8% and 17%.
Well, actually, that's one study that said that, and I don't think it's right. And it doesn't explain the fact that in almost every other country around Europe, everyone else experienced another wave of COVID, and they didn't all have the same policy. So it's a bit odd to blame that policy for an increase in COVID cases when that happened across Europe.
What's your plan to cut illegal channel crossings?
Yes, great question. I'll give you two examples of things that I'm prepared to do now. One is we need to change the definition of asylum and move away from this European definition, which has become very broad. It's exploited by lefty lawyers and means it's very hard to remove people. I suggest moving to a different definition, another legal standard internationally used by, I think, the Australians and others, and that is a much tighter definition and will allow us to reject more people. So that's one thing we can do. The second thing is we've got to get smarter about our foreign policy. People can see
13.3% inflation is what's predicted. That's the size of the problem.
And I don't want that to be worse. And I don't want it to last longer. So what I'm not going to do is embark on a borrowing spree worth tens of billions of pounds, put that on the country's credit card, ask our kids and our grandkids to pick up the tab, because that's not right, it's not responsible, and it's certainly not conservative.
In a video, here it comes, from 2001, you said you didn't have any working class friends. Have you made any working class friends since you left university?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was a student when I said that. We all say silly things when we're younger. I mean, at the same time, I was, as you know, I was working in my mum's shop. I was out and about, cycling around, running around, delivering medicines to people, all people from all walks of life. But, you know, obviously I was a kid and I said something silly.
So you do have working class friends now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't go around asking them what how they define themselves. I mean,
have you ever benefited financially from the use of tax havens?
No.
A venture capital firm you co-founded, Tellman Partners, was registered in the Cayman Islands. So just to clarify,
I personally have absolutely never ever
from
benefited and have paid absolutely full normal taxes wherever I've lived.
There's plenty of people who are watching at home who would disagree with that. Perception is reality, and they think that you're too rich to be Prime Minister.
Yeah, well, the reality is one of the last things I did as Chancellor was announce significant help for people with their energy bills this autumn and winter.
So, if you think that Rishi Sunak had a better show and as a result would potentially make the better Prime Minister of this country, can you put your hand up now, ladies and gentlemen, please? Oh, my goodness. That looks to me like an awful lot for Mr Sunak. Who would prefer Ms Truss as the next Prime Minister? Now, I wasn't expecting that, I have to say, but I think with just keeping your hands up for Ms Truss, while we get some more shots just to show people at home, it looks to me as though Mr Sunak convinced you far more than Ms Truss.